What did you make of this? Whiplash for voters. Morrison says, I wasn't against electric vehicles. It was just Labor's policy, which wasn't a mandate, but it was a target for 2030.
Oh, look, it was just very awkward yesterday watching it, wasn't it? I think the government's sort of paying a price, Tom, for a lot of things they said and did during the last campaign to get themselves across the line. That very few thought they could win. And they sort of had this say and do anything to get there, and it worked. And now some of this stuff is catching up with them, and as is the reality of what they have to confront on renewable energy and so forth. So, their position now is right, but it just unfortunately contradicts a lot of the things they said and did in the past. And even today, the PM's unveiling a very good initiative on this to invest in low emissions technology. These are the technologies that are barely advanced beyond conceptual, but under the roadmap have to deliver 15% of the emissions reductions to get to net zero, and the government's, and the private sector stumping up $1 billion into that. Through the Clean Energy Finance Corporation. Now that's the same thing they wanted to abolish in 2013. So,
well, yeah, exactly. That's another one.
A lot of these unfortunate.
I'll get to that in a moment. I guess the interesting thing about EVs and climate is that clearly the coalition's crazy rhetoric last time cost them a bit. But while they've shifted a bit to the reality, Labor has shifted back. I mean, they're not going to have even a target anymore. They're non-committal on vehicle emission standards. 2030 target, we'll see. They're both shifting to a position that's closer to each other here.
It's because climate change is such a 50-50 election issue. I mean, well, it's more than that. Labor has lost 2 elections on it and two prime ministers. Malcolm Turnbull's lost his leadership on it twice. It's such a the politics of it is moving one way, right? People are becoming more and more concerned about climate change, and eventually it will shift elections. But at this stage, it's hard to say where it's there. I think it's close. So who's the side who's going to put their neck on the block this time over it? I mean, you do a poll and everyone says, I'm really worried about it. But how many people actually vote on it, especially when it comes to imposing a cost on your cost of living? So, Labor has, suffered more than any other political party for the cause. You can understand why they have to still be seen to be addressing it. Do they really want to stick their neck out whilst they're still in opposition? I mean, they've already got the runs on the board. They have the...
If you care more about climate anyway...
You're going to vote Labor over Liberal. Right,
so put it out on
it's a bit like health. Last election, they promised to spend billions and billions more than government on health, and it didn't win them a single vote, because they already had the health vote. All it did is actually lose them votes because they had to raise taxes to find those extra billions. So, you can understand, they're sort of tippy-toeing around at the moment on how far they're going to go on their policy.
The tech fund's an interesting one because last time the government had something similar to this or wanted the CEFC to use this type of new technology, Labor opposed it. And while you understand on the one hand, so far carbon capture and storage has been a disappointment, it's not just Australia relying on technology in the roadmap you spoke about. Read the IPCC reports. Yeah. We're not getting there without tech. They're building in that tech's going to do a big part of the job.
And that was writ large at Glasgow. I mean, no one was talking about carbon taxes at Glasgow. No governments were. It was Morrison's his philosophy about we do it through technology was very popular, and it was seen as the only realistic way you're going to get the laggards on board, the Chinese, the Indians, even the Russians, the Brazilians, the really big polluters who don't really want to do much. And even the lesser developing countries in the region, Indonesia, Vietnam, places that you can't put prices on their economies. Their view is you guys use fossil fuels to become developed economies. You put a lid on our ability to you'll keep us poor forever. And it's just the reality. If you want to bridge the gap between the developed and developing world, the simplistic solution is invent hydrogen and things like that, and then everyone can use it. And that's really probably where the global consensus is.
Nearly out of time, but just finally, there's a report that's come out of COP. This is a regular one done. It has Australia as a climate laggard. Interesting to note, it has our policy. It assesses our policy as 0, the only country in the world that gets 0 rating. It has China at 10th. Now, China's still sort of in the developing basket.
They have a policy.
They didn't even... Well, they've got the 2060 one, if you like. Hardly set in stone. They didn't even send the leader to Glasgow or really update projections. I get why people don't like us because we didn't do the 2030 update. Sure. There was methane and coal and so on. But
well, I don't understand China the methodology behind it. It doesn't compute. I mean, we actually have, like it or not, we have reduced emissions by, 20-something% since 2005. We actually are on track to do it. We do have a 2030 target and a projection, unlike a lot of other countries. And And you know, as panned as the Prime Minister's roadmap has been, it's actually that little thing he was waving around at Glasgow was a lot more than anyone else was waving around. No other. I saw Narendra Modi say we're going to do renewable energy by 20, 30, 50%. Didn't even have a sheet of paper, so I'm not sure what that's based on. I thought we were actually sat pretty comfortably in the pack at in terms of real achievement.
Albeit some of the others were way behind on the 2030, but
people are praising Canada because they sign up to everything, but they haven't actually reduced emissions by more than 1%. So maybe it's the difference between what you say and what you do. I'd like to see a report on that.
Phil Coorey, thank you.